This is the part 2 of the SNES Raspberry Pi 3 case build. I figured I'd go over the electronics in this portion. So as you can see in the case already put in is the USB extension for your player 1 and player 2. And just real quick before I put some electrical tape on it, I just wanted to show you that the Pi Control USB extension, you have 6 cables coming out of it, but 8 connections. That's because your power and ground use the same wire for both plugins. Like here, for the ground and the power, you have 2 of them going into one wire. Then you have your data in, data out. There's one for each one, but I figured I'd show you that before I get it all cleaned up. You have your power and reset button and LED. LED is on this long cable, so that way it would stretch. Once you put it here, you have enough cable to run the LED. You have your power and reset button, which both of these are going to be non-lock buttons. And that is because the power button locks in place as the reset moves freely. So here's the power button, you can hear it click. And that click holds the power in place to power up the Raspberry Pi. You have your regular connection to plug into the Pi Control board, and then you have your NFC on the Pi Control board. And really you'll need some super glue, you'll need a hot glue gun, the electrical tape I have here just to clean up the connections here, and then some tape or some scissors for the electrical tape, which if you buy a kit you wouldn't have to worry about taking care of that. The hot glue gun, what you're going to do for that with this is actually put some hot glue on the connections. So for here I just soldered it together, I haven't put any hot glue on it to hold it into place, same with the other one. And also for this portion in the back, just to make sure that those wires don't come undone, because there's 6 here on each button. And the super glue is going to be to hold the power and reset buttons right in here. This little hole is a perfect fit, so you basically just put a little bit of super glue on the white part all the way around, or you could do top and bottom, doesn't matter, and then you just slide it in and it'll go ahead and glue, stay right there. And there isn't enough power from this power button or reset button to push it out of the way. Alright, but I'm going to pause the video and go ahead and tape up the connections now. So I'll be right back. We'll tape in place for the USB extensions. And normally what I like to do with these is use this little peg here as a cable management, so you could run the cable through here. Before we do that, I'm going to put some hot glue on each of these connections, just so that way no cables come loose when we're moving these around. Go ahead and do that now. And when you do this, you just basically want to get all of your connections and a little bit of the wire, so that way they don't go anywhere. Do that for each side. There we go. And normally I'll try to grab out as much of this little hair that comes out from the hot glue gun, just to make it a little bit nicer. Alright, there we go. Give that a little bit to dry. And while that's drying, we can go ahead and start working on the power reset buttons. And for the buttons, when you solder them in, what I typically do is I'll do the buttons first. Just go ahead and get your 6 wires wired up. And then once you get that done for both of them, what I do is make sure that the bottom of the button, which is where you see that little gap there in the blue portion, there is a spring underneath, and that's what pushes it back up. That part you want facing down in relation to the board. So this is your LED, your power, and your reset. So this button is facing down, so then you just match your pins So this is going to be the bottom left pin, the left mid, top left, as you see here if you follow the colors. So here we have red, black, yellow, and over here we have red, black, yellow, and then same for the right side. These pins will match color-wise, and then same for the reset. For the LED, you have one power, one ground, which for your LED you're going to have one power and one ground on an LED. The longest portion, or the longest leg on the LED is going to be your positive, so you want to make sure you wire that correctly, or else your LED won't work. It won't fire up when you turn on the PI. And to install these here, you want to make sure you get your power button, which is this one here on the left, which will be this one here on the right on the case. You just make sure. Alright, that's the one that clicks, so that is the power button. So you can put some super glue around this white part and then just push it in, and that's it. But before I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And then after that, once I get it in place, I'm going to put some hot glue on these connections. I'm not going to do it beforehand, because if I put the hot glue and it comes down too much on this part, it won't slide in here because it's a very tight squeeze. So any extra room will make it not fit. So I just put some super glue on this white part of the button. You want to make sure not to get it up here, because then your button will lock up and it won't do you any good. And as far as the orientation of the button, either way, it doesn't matter if it's upside down or right side up. Just as long as this will push it in, we're good to go. So just give that a few seconds to dry, and then we'll be good to go. And now we'll just do it for the reset. Same thing, just put some super glue on the white part. You want to make sure you keep it on this white part, just so that way you don't glue the spring on the inside and then ruin the connection. So there we go. Alright, so now those are in. For the LED, normally what I'll do is just put a drop of super glue on the bottom and then drop it right in here into the LED section on the bottom of the case. But we won't do that yet. Let's go ahead and get these sorted out. Now for these, as you can see, this is a little wobbly, so what you want to do is pull the cable out a little bit, put some hot glue there, and then just pull it through. You want to make sure not to put too much hot glue, because if it goes in here, then it's going to be a tight squeeze when you put in the controllers. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Go. And put some on the sides. There we go. Oh, got a little bit of it running there. Tell you what, this is a lot easier not to worry about the camera being in focus, so I apologize if you guys can't see this. There we go. So now I got some more hot glue in there, and I'll give it a little bit of pressure here just to make sure it sits flush with the front while the glue is drying. And just hold it like this, so that way gravity will help pull that glue, so that way it doesn't run as much. Okay. And now let's just do the same thing all over again. So again, we'll push this up, put some hot glue on the bottom, and then pull the USB cable through. There we go. Oops. There we go. And just another tip is you don't want to put any up top here, because on the top half of the case, the case sits actually right on top of the USB port. And if you put too much up here, then your top and the front won't click together. Alright, so that's still drying. This one came out good. Alright. So there we go. Alright. That about wraps it up for the electronics. The other electronic piece is going to be your fan, which is clip right in, and then it has the 2-pin connection which will plug right into the Pi control. So there's not too much to that. Really all you're going to do is get your fan, and then you're going to glue it to the fan mount, this 3D printed part here. You're going to glue it to this bottom sticker facing you, so that way the cool air will blow this way, because it mounts in the case just like that. So we'll be sucking in all the air, then blowing out the cool air towards the Pi, which would sit right here. And that's it for the electronics video. See you guys in the next one. I plan on going over the software, how to get it installed, and get RetroPie up and running on the Raspberry Pi. See you guys next time.